Good afternoon, my fellow Arsenal fans. Neomis here, bringing you another video after our game this afternoon. Arsenal 2, Newcastle nil. Better than what I thought it would have been. I called it as a 2-1 Arsenal victory. I thought that the new manager bounce would have kind of been enough to kind of potentially get Newcastle a goal in this game, but clearly not. And clearly, my good friend Apollo was right all along in the 2-0 victory. And I gotta say that I was incredibly impressed by a few players. And overall, I would say I was impressed by the team that the Liverpool game wasn't seen as a bit of a Debbie Downer. I don't think that their confidence was really hit. I think that they saw this as a new and a fresh game, and they came out and they did what they needed to do. Now, the game started off, particularly in the whole of the first half, was pretty slow and ponderous. Arsenal created one or two kind of chances in the first half. I've got my notes here. You got Odegaard with like a half chance to Aubameyang, who doesn't really kind of get a touch on it, but still he tries. Odegaard in the first half does get a free kick that was very well struck, but Dubravka did manage to save that one and save that one pretty well. There were a few little half chances with Saka as well, who looked a lot better today. And spoiler alert, is my man of the match. And I'll get into the reasons why as you kind of watch this and go through everything. A few kind of half chances from Smith Rowe as well, overall. And yeah, I think when you're looking at how the first half went, lots of good play, nothing fantastic, but nothing like grossly bad. And then they go in at halftime. Whatever it is that was said was probably something like, "Let's continue what we're doing. Up the pace just a bit. Take a little bit more chances. You're better than them." And in the second half, that's kind of what we eventually went out and did. And you saw that the first goal comes from a combination of Saka actually moving out to the left, which was great to see because that's what I wanted. I wanted to see Sakura on the left, or at least allow him to switch in game, and that sort of eventually went on. Saka switched to the left, where he feels most comfortable, most natural, and I think that he could just do more on that left side. Funnily enough, even though Smith Rowe was also out on was started out on the left, he was also in that left helping with the kind of patterns of play. And the goal really came from Sambi passing it to Smith Rowe, 1-2s with Saka, then to Tavares, who threads it through to Saka, and Saka then finishes it on his left foot into the bottom corner away from Dubravka, and it's great, really good to see him get a goal, Saka, because I think that he hasn't he hasn't been very well at kind of scoring goals this season, and I think fans like myself have expected more. I actually thought that maybe this was a game that I expected him maybe not to start, at the very least for kind of like an hour, and then maybe bring him on. Maybe somebody like a Pepe I thought would have get a start, or a Martinelli, who I will go on into in a sec. Overall as well, so well done to Saka for what he did out on the pitch. For me, like I said, he was my man of the match. He was one of the players there that was constantly trying to do things. He was dribbling when he was on the right side, which was causing Newcastle problems all day, but just couldn't quite get it done right overall. But I felt that he was consistent with it, he was persistent with it, and still never gave up, still trying to help the team out and to do what he necessarily could. But it was good to see him get that goal. I think long term we've got to talk about some stuff with this Arsenal structure and what's going to be done on the right side as well. And I'll talk about that later on in the video. But really good from Saka overall today. I also want to talk about the fullbacks, Tomiyasu and Tavares. Very, very good today. If I had to give them a rating, They were very close to being my man of the match, but I would have given Tomiyasu and Tavaro eights for me. I thought that both players did incredibly well today. Both of them defensively solid. Some of the last ditch tackles from Tomiyasu, key tackles in certain situations. I got to give hats off to both of the players, Tomiyasu and Tavares, for that. The fact that Tavares was involved in the Saka goal, and then Tomiyasu was involved in the Gabriel Martinelli goal. Both players getting the assist for that as well. I gotta say, well done to both of them for that. And yeah, I think Tavares has shown that he can't be dropped, at least for now, until he really messes up. And not to say that Tierney couldn't have done exactly the same thing or be in that type of position. Like, don't get me wrong, but Tavares played. He had the mistake against Liverpool. Didn't play like terribly up against Liverpool, but just was making some mistakes here and there. But did really well in today overall, and he got an assist, which I'm all about goals and assists. So if you're getting goals and assists for me, well done. And Tavares was one of them. So for me, you got to give him some credit where credit is due for the performance that he put out on the pitch. And then Tomiyasu on the right, like I was saying, defensively solid, getting the assist for Gabriel Martinelli. Nice, good, just forward thinking. It's probably the best way I had to describe it when it comes to him. Always forward thinking, always looking, how can I help to create a chance for one of the attacking players that's in front of me? And that's the one thing that I like about him. Very rarely does he ever really focus on passing the ball back or into midfield unless there are no opportunities to be able to pass the ball forward and ahead of you. So I consistently like that about Tomiyasu as well. Gabriel Martinelli. Got to talk about Gabby Martinelli. So over the past weeks, I have been talking about Gabriel Martinelli as being a player that we definitely should be seeing more of. Doesn't necessarily need to start, but should be coming up off the bloody bench. And we saw Gabriel Martinelli come up off the bench, not because Mikel Arteta wanted him to, because in a way he was forced to, because of the injury to Saka, which looks like, I don't know if it was a bit of a cramp or it was a bit of a groin or hip injury that he had, but had a bit of injury, and it meant that Saka had to come off and Martinelli came on and in his position with Smith Rowe going out to the left and Martinelli out wide right. But did it affect Gabby? No, 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 no. Didn't affect Gabby one bit because Gabby says, "Oi, I'm here. I'm here. I'm ready. And whenever you need me, I will score." And that is what Gabby did today. And it was so good to see Gabby get chance because guys like me who, like when I see a young player performing as he has shown and just needs the opportunity to be able to do so, it's a bit of a crime not to give Gabby those opportunities. And even though his opportunity came at the expense of Saka and I don't think it's a serious injury because Saka was doing the interview afterwards talking about his goal and Martinelli as well. So clearly it might be an injury, but not that serious. Maybe he needs a bit of a rest. Maybe he got pushed a little bit too far in this game. But Martinelli comes up on the pitch, and within a minute and a half, Gabriel Martinelli gives Arsenal the second goal of the game, gives us that comfort that we all needed, that all of Arsenal fans were kind of worried about on what we could potentially do and get ourselves in a position like for that. So it was so good to see Gabriel Martinelli get a chance and score a goal. And you know what? Like, if Arteta is showing that Arteta that he has been so far this season, where he learns from his mistakes against Manchester United. Yes, I'm looking directly in the camera. Against Man United, we play Gabriel Martinelli behind the main striker with Saka and Smith Rowe. That is how it should be done. You put Saka out there on the left. Give him continue the confidence on the left. Take what is done good in the game and take it onto the second game. Mikel Arteta, you've done this before. This is how we learn in the first 10 games. Well, 7 out of 10 games this season was taking the good bits and taking them onto the second game and dropping the bad bits. If he does this, Mikel Arteta, Gabriel Martinelli, unless he pulls up with an injury in training or some type of injury that we don't know about, I am expecting Gabriel Martinelli to start against Manchester United. Has to be done. How can you not reward scoring a goal when we need goals? We've got the problems that we've had is that our wide players are not scoring enough goals and our strikers aren't scoring enough goals. And we got a guy who's come up off the pitch and scored a goal. We also don't have many goals coming up off the bench. And Martinelli has shown that in today's game. And as Arsenal fans, you should be incredibly happy to see Martinelli on the pitch. And it shows that maybe we have a little bit more depth in the side that we thought that we didn't have. So I'm glad to see Martinelli, and I expect to see Martinelli in the next game because that game is going to be incredibly tough, and I I will do a preview on it. But I oh Lord, like I'm not even gonna get into my prediction because a lot of people won't like it. But as we get closer to that game, I'll give my prediction on how I think the game is gonna be. But yeah, it's not gonna be a good one overall. But Martinelli, great performance from him. Should start against United. And then there were lots of kind of like decent performances from people. Sambi, I thought had a good performance. He was one of the guys involved, like around the Saka goal, just being part of the initial triangle between helping to set up Saka, which was good. Odegaard came in to start this game over Lacazette. Yeah, I know I know teams was it apps like SofaScore gave Odegaard a 7.4 um because of his pass accuracy, which it should be because most of the time all he was really doing was like 5 yard passes. They had two key passes. Yeah, I could see the two key passes. That he had one of them in the first half that I mentioned before. Ground duels, so defensively he was good. What 6 out of 8 he won, and then aerial duels he won 1 of 1. Lost possession 14 times. Yeah, expected. 3 tackles and 2 dribble pass. I don't understand how for those numbers, he's getting a 7.4. But overall, I thought he did okay. Not like fantastic, but not like crap or anything like that. Just there. Um, but for me, I'm just choosing not to look at Odegaard as a 10 because if you look at it as a 10 or any type of player that's in a wide position or in the final third whereby you expect goals and assists out of him, he's only going to aggravate you. So if you're not an Odegaard fan, just see him as what his number is. See him as an 8, even a 6. And then when you see him as that, then you're like, you know what? Decent player. And that's exactly how I put his performance today. It was decent. Same thing there goes with like Sambi. I thought he was decent. Party was alright. I thought Ben White was good today as well. I would have probably given him like a 7.5. Was involved in the Martinelli goal. He was the one that brought it out from the back, passed it to Tomiyasu, and then Tomiyasu fed it to Gabriel Martinelli. So it was good to see his performance today. Gabby, and this is Gabriel Magalhaes. I would have given a 7. So many times this guy get him and Callum Wilson were getting just physical fisticuffs. Just a lot of this all the time. I was pretty sure Gabby was going to get a yellow card out of this game because him and Callum Wilson were always bumping heads in between. I think that I wouldn't say he should eradicate it out of his game, but yeah, potentially that might be a bit of an issue in some games overall. But still, I thought he gave a solid performance defensively. Was a rock and dealt with everything he needed to. I call him the Sentinel, and he did exactly what he needed to do. So well done to Gabby for that. Party was alright. Um, Lacazette came on. He was alright as well. Got himself in some nice positions too. And then who else? Oh yeah, that's right. Let's talk about our favorite person, our striker, our talisman, our captain. Captain, terrible. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Um, not good enough. Terrible performance overall from him. Had a gilt-edged chance to actually make it 1-0 earlier on in the game, but just hits the post and just goes out wide. Had I think another couple of more chances, but just wasn't at the races and was brought off for Lacazette, rightly so. Just not good enough, and I think it's time to drop Aubameyang. You know, uh, screw it. I think the Man United game will be a loss, and I think that we have to not follow this trend of just playing players just because of who their names are, what titles they have in this team, but rather on performance. And I'm saying this that Lacazette should start, renew the trident. That's Lacazette, Saka, and Smith Rowe to all of the to the new subscribers and new viewers that I've talked about over the past year. You put Martinelli in there as well, and you've got a damn good um, forward line with synergy in there as well. And if you do that, we could get something out of that game. Um, but if we continue with Aubameyang up top, if we continue not learning from our mistakes, we will continue to not have put in a dent into that top four, and we will continue to do the same things and get the same results as we previously have done. So, Arteta, I think that you did well. I'm not going to give him 100% of the credit for Gabriel Martinelli because that came from an injury, and I question whether he would even have brought on Martinelli for the injury. However, I'll give him a 7 because he did choose Martinelli over someone else that I probably think you would have chosen instead of Martinelli. When that would have been Pepe. Pepe cost 72 million. You're having a guy like Pepe on the bench, and the camera panned to Pepe a couple times. And you gotta say, if Martinelli is ahead of Pepe in the pecking order, sweet Jesus, Lord have mercy. I'm telling you this right now. People, fans, Arsenal fans, Nicola Pepe's Arsenal career is finished. Absolutely finished. He is done out here. How do you choose a guy that costs what? 4, 6 million ahead of a guy that costs 72 million? Like, it's crazy. Pepe should be almost a mandatory starter coming up off the bench. And that's not because I want him to come up off the bench, because I'm no big Pepe fan. But you would have thought when you spend 72 million on a player, that the guy almost should be starting or at least be coming up off the bench as like a regular. And what we're seeing right now is that he isn't. And with Pepe into the last 2 years of his contract, at least at the end of this season, now is the time for us looking to sell. And this kind of goes off into a little bit of a tangent in terms of what is going to be done in terms of transfers. So some news dropped about Pepe and AC Milan a few days ago that I thought was very interesting, to the point where I've heard that Arteta came out and said something like Pepe's not for sale, which I mean, what else is he supposed to say? Oh yeah, he is for sale. Like yeah, of course. Like no way is he coming out to say yeah, Pepe's for sale. He's never gonna do that. Never gonna do that. So clearly he has to do it like that. But I will say this: if I'm Nicholas Pepe, and I'm right there thinking, I cost 72 million. I'm the most expensive player that you've ever spent on at the club. Not personally Arteta, but just Arsenal Football Club in general. Arteta, knowing this, has never really trusted Pepe, which I understand why, because he is a one-dimensional player and he does one thing really well, and but he's grossly one-footed. He doesn't like to do anything on his right foot, and for me, if it's going to be Saka out there on the left, which I personally I think it has to be, um, then you're going to overall Arsenal are going to need to find another left winger and another right winger. That's really what it is. And for me, those two people kind of have to be experienced. And when I mean experience, I mean like that kind of 25, 26, and older kind of age range. I don't think that you could completely rely on Saka and Martinelli to provide the goals from wide constantly. I could be wrong, and definitely leave your comments below if you disagree with me for that. But I think that you need to have the balance between experience and youth. And I myself have done scouting courses, and that's one of the first things that they teach you is that when teams scout players, the whole goal is to get a balance of like you normally have like someone that's relatively young, let's say 18, 19, 20, have somebody in the middle that's like 24, 25, 26, and then you have someone that's a little bit more on the senior side that's 29, 30, 31 or older. That's what you want. And for every single position, that's how it kind of has to be. Now, how you really want it is that maybe in the academy there's the super young. Right now with Arsenal, I would say that it's those young ones, the super young ones, that are getting a lot of the game time. So for me, like guys like Saka and Martinelli, in like 2, 3 years time, they'll start to enter that middle range. So really and truly, it's really kind of the more senior ones that you kind of need, ones that they have to provide value for Arsenal. They have to provide a little bit of leadership for Arsenal, similar to how like David Luiz was able to provide value and leadership for Arsenal in that defense, in that team, outside of the whole playing football diaspora for like fans like us. But just they have to provide some type of value for the team, and that's what I would like to see kind of long term with Arsenal overall. And you know, I'm constantly looking at the rumors. I'm trying to see that there's trends out there on what Arsenal are looking after, and I think the club are moving in the right direction. And I think for like so far this season, Arteta is learning from his mistakes, and I would like him to continue learning from those mistakes in the next game. And this summer and January, there's going to be some big decisions, and guys like Pepe, guys like Callum Chambers, even Rob Holding, um, Pablo Mari, these guys are going to be done. Um, but nevertheless, even though some of them or all of them might leave, the one thing that will always stay consistent is that the Arsenal will be here. We fans will always still continue to be here. And it's just all about the badge. It's all about the badge. Um, let's kind of continue supporting the club. We got the win. Um, we shouldn't be miserable. There should be no miserable Arsenal fans right now out here about this result. Yeah, you can make an argument. Maybe we could have scored more, but hey, it is what it is. Um, let's move on to the next game, and hopefully we get the right lineup for that team, and maybe get like a positive result from that game. But leave your comments below on your thoughts about the game. Do you disagree with what I have to say about several of the players? Do you agree? Leave your comments below. What do you think about the Pepe situation? Like, oh, it's all over the place with him. So leave your comments below. Please do remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you all on my next video, which will probably be tomorrow. Because after this aftermath, I am sure the rumors on Pepe are gonna be like, gonna be all over the place. But nevertheless, do remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.